before we get started, grab your favorite blanket, your favorite snack, and your very own copy of Cassie the Sassy Fairy. Hello, friends. Today we'll be reading Cassie the Sassy Fairy, written by Rochelle Dawson and illustrated by Kaylin Harbison. Flower Valley is a charming place full of all sorts of living things. There are birds, bees, butterflies, and trees. There are beautiful flowers in the full bloom as far as the eye can see. Colorful fish filled clear streams of water that flow throughout the valley like fingers on a hand. Those same streams of water come together and form a river that spills over the land's edge into a great waterfall. Flower Valley is also where fairies live. This story is about a special fairy named Cassie, and like all fairies, she is beautiful. Cassie has big, tightly coiled, copper-colored hair. It sprouts from her tiny head as if each strand is reaching for the sky. Well, except for that one coil that falls just above her right eye. She has cocoa brown skin that has been kissed by the sun and a smile so bright it could easily light Flower Valley's darkest night. Cassie is not your ordinary fairy. She is unique and marches to her own beat. She is smart, curious, outspoken, and bold to say the least. Cassie is not afraid to push boundaries or go against the grain. This sometimes get her into trouble. Like the time she thought it would be fun to follow the tooth fairy all over the city as she collected tiny teeth. You see, the tooth fairy works alone. She takes great care to gather the teeth without being seen or waking the sleeping children. Cassie followed the tooth fairy, careful to stay just out of sight, but after a few moments, the excitement was over. I can't believe all she does is gather teeth all night long. This is so boring. I'm out of here. Just as she started to fly back to Flower Valley, something caught her eye. Deep blue and yellow colors danced in the dim moonlight, shining through the sleeping girl's window. The colors were coming from a beaded bracelet on the sleeping girl's wrist. It was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. Cassie was drawn to the sparkling beads. She just had to get a closer look. Cassie moved closer, slowly reaching to touch the beautiful beads. Whoosh! She felt someone pulling her up and away. It happened so fast, air swirled around her tiny body as a yelp escaped from her tiny mouth. What are you doing here? You could have ruined everything, the tooth fairy scolded. Cassie huffed while straightening her clothes. Relax. Everything is fine. She didn't see me. You're impossible, Cassie. Go home right now. I have work to do, and that does not include keeping you out of trouble. She did as she was told, but not before making a face behind the tooth fairy's back. As days went on, Cassie could not get the bracelet out of her mind. She snuck back to look at it 3 more times. Cassie was spellbound by the sparkling colors that seemed to dance in the dim moonlight. On her third and final visit, Cassie was so focused she didn't realize the girl was staring at her until she spoke. Hello, the little girl said. Cassie was so startled that she flew right into the little girl's pillow, trying to get away. The next thing she knew, she was being whisked away by the tooth fairy again. Hey, let me go, Cassie said. Not until we get back to Flower Valley. I'm taking you to the queen right now. Cassie had been there before and was always able to talk herself out of trouble, so she didn't think this time would be any different. By the time they arrived in the valley, the sun was just beginning to rise, and those that lived there were waking up to start their day. They soon reached a spotted mushroom patch at the base of the large tree that grows in the center of Flower Valley. Wait here, Cassie, said the Tooth Fairy as she headed off to speak to the Queen. Cassie looked around before taking a seat on a mushroom. The area is shaded by smooth, dark green leaves, and the ground is slightly damp from the morning dew. The Tooth Fairy returned a short time later to tell Cassie that the Queen and her council were meeting to discuss what she had done. Just sit here until they are ready for you. Someone will come get you soon. And with that, the Tooth Fairy was gone. Hearing that made Cassie's stomach tighten and her mind started to race. She had been in trouble plenty of times before. Surely, they will understand that she is just full of harmless curiosity. Cassie tilted her head back, allowing the sunlight peeking through the leaves to shine on her face. The warmth from the sun relaxes her just a bit. How long can it take to tell me I'm wrong again? She said softly. And just like that, her best friend Mia comes into view. Her beautiful wings fluttered as she floats downward from the hole in the large tree where the Queen and her council are meeting. Cassie, the Queen will see you now, Mia says softly as she reaches out, taking Cassie's hand. With their tiny fingers laced together, their wings flutter, taking them up and away. Hand in hand, they enter the round hole in the large hollow tree. This is where the Queen sits, high above for all to see. Everyone living in Flower Valley was there to witness her fate, whispering and pointing as the two moved closer to the Queen. Good morning, my Queen, Cassie says nervously. Mia quickly releases her hand and slips away. The Queen nods and takes a sip of her honeysuckle tea before she speaks. Cassie, you have broken the rules numerous times, and for that you must be punished. In the last month alone, you have given wings to a frog, tied a snake to a log, and you have the sassiest attitude I have ever seen. Some things I can excuse, as you just being mischievous, but the latest stunt cannot be dismissed. Being different will no longer be your excuse for behaving poorly. Everyone must follow the rules, including you. That's the law. The Queen continued to speak, but Cassie wasn't focused on what she was saying. It was as if her words were just floating in the air above her head. The law is simple, the Queen said. First and foremost, a fairy must never be selfish. Our purpose is to bring joy. We receive a wish, wave our wand, sprinkle a little fairy dust, and just like that, joy for all. Most importantly, a fairy must never, ever be seen by humans. Your punishment is by far the hardest I have ever had to pass down, and well, you have earned it. That caught Cassie's attention. She couldn't imagine what her punishment would be. She nervously bit her bottom lip and stared at the Queen. I have decided that you will be banished from Flower Valley until the next pollinating season. All the fairies gasped in shock. Quiet, quiet, said the Queen, as she hit her gavel on the wood desktop, and immediately everyone became silent. During that time, you must complete 3 unselfish acts. Each act should be one that will bring joy to others. These acts cannot bring you any praise or recognition. Do you understand? Cassie shakes her head as if she does not understand. My Queen, Flower Valley is my home. How will I ever be able to do as you ask if I leave here? The queen held her hand high, silencing Cassie immediately. You are a very smart, strong-willed young fairy. I'm sure you will figure it out. And with that, the queen and the council flew away. The decision has been made, and the meeting was over. Mia fluttered to meet Cassie where she stood. Still in shock by what she had just heard, she took Cassie's hand once again, lacing her fingers together. Mia spoke softly. We have to get going, my friend. Mia was tasked with escorting Cassie to the edge of Flower Valley, where she would not be permitted to return until her punishment was fulfilled. The two of them flew the short distance in silence, exchanging quick glances through tear-filled eyes. They soon reached the valley's edge. Fluttering in a circle, they held each other in a tight embrace. Cassie sat inside of a white tulip, her head in her hands, feeling as if this punishment was completely unfair. Where am I supposed to go, my queen? She angrily shouted in the air, and just as quickly as the last word left her mouth, she had an idea. At the same time, Cassie was gathering her thoughts. The little girl with the beautiful bracelet was listening to her parents sing Happy Birthday. Today, she was turning 6 years old, and she was very excited to open her gift and eat her favorite strawberry cake. Make a wish, Araya, and remember you have to keep it to yourself or it won't come true, her father said with a huge smile on his face. Araya closed her eyes tight and made a wish. It had bright white tires, shining spokes, and a white basket attached to the front. Thank you, Mommy and Daddy, I love it. And with that, she rolled her new shiny bike out of the house and rode it down the sidewalk. Araya pedaled faster and faster until her puffy hair was blowing behind her. This is so much fun, she giggled and a tiny voice agreed. It sure is. Go faster, the voice said. Startled, Araya looked down to see Cassie in the basket attached to the front of her new bike. Hey, I know you, Araya said as she slowed to a stop. You were on my pillow the other night. Are you the tooth fairy? Cassie climbed out of the basket and onto the handlebars of the bicycle so that she could look in Araya's eyes. I am nothing like the tooth fairy. I am Cassie the Sassy Fairy. Cassie had already forgotten the most important rule. She was never, ever supposed to be seen by humans, and Araya with the beautiful bracelet was certainly a human. To be continued. Friends, wasn't that book full of sass? Just like Cassie, I have my own way of doing things, but sometimes it does get me in trouble, and sometimes I have to learn my lesson. Is there a lesson that you hate that you had to learn, but you had to learn? Comment below. I would love to know. Maybe we all can grow together. And if you wasn't able to read along, that's okay. I'm going to leave the link below so we can add it to our very own Storytime collection. Bye, friends. Hello, friends. Miss Poka has a very special announcement. We will now be raffling away a t-shirt a month to our very own viewers. Go to pokaspeaks.com and upload what was your favorite book on Storytime with Miss Poka.